You're gone now.
You hear me?
Now I can. I'm like, you went away.
They gave me the boot. You were alive by yourself. How you doing?
Well, that's okay. I probably just sat there staring into space.
Oh, it's all right. Well, guys, it's good to be on again. It's Friday. I've got my very good friend, Dr. Rebecca Lindesmith, who I haven't seen you in a little while now. It's nice to actually see your face and have a conversation with you and catch up. And
Yes.
Dr. Rebecca actually runs a practice with her husband, Michael, over in the UK.
Yes.
And she is also a new mama navigating this crazy world that we're living in as both a doctor and a mama. So I'm excited for you to come kind of share your perspective with the people who follow us.
It's quite the perspective. I'm here to lend you a hand in any way I can.
Well, start by just sharing your background, who you are, how you got into chiropractic, and what it is that you do now.
You know, Casey, it's a long road of a background, so I'll just kind of quickly lay the foundation and give you the quick and dirty of it. So I grew up in Kansas. Wasn't on the path or trajectory of chiropractic in the least, as you can imagine. Just a young girl, wild and free. Got into business. It wasn't the right thing for me, and chiropractic was my calling. It kind of pulled me out of a place that was not very healthy. So I met my godfather when I was 21 years old. He was a chiropractor. I was in a really deep, dark space in my life in the middle of college and didn't know what I was going to do. Moved back home and met him, and it literally, chiropractic changed my life. I know this conversation may go in this direction, so I'll take a step back and give you an even deeper dive into my past, just because I know a lot of people who've heard me speak in my previous speaking engagements know what I've been through, but this greater audience doesn't. So I think it's going to lead into what I'm doing now in my life and the things we're overcoming, especially as new parents, as a new mom, as a non-practicing chiropractor. I was sexually abused my entire childhood, and through that, how do I say it? I got very lost, and I was able to overcome that through chiropractic and the healing and love of amazing people within our profession. And now I'm here faced with a world that is bringing up all of those demons that I thought I had overcome a little bit. So it's a very interesting space to be as a new mom, non-practicing doctor, and sitting here expressing to the world what it is that, you know, a lot of people are, I think, trying to navigate through. So that just kind of gives you a wide variation of where we can go from here.
Yeah, well, you know, when we met, you were speaking on the stage, the same stage I was at the Truth in Kansas City, and that's where our paths crossed. And I remember every time I've heard you speak, you've had just this really powerful message about just the healing power of love. And I remember you had everybody in the room give 3 hugs to people during your talk, and it just turned into probably 10, 15 minutes. Like, people didn't stop at 3. And you just completely changed the energy in the room. Talk about that message for a minute.
You know, living in a world of fear right now is very interesting, because I think love has gotten incredibly lost in the world today, and people are desperately searching for it. And you know, that love is through human touch. It's through a smile. It is an energy that is projected from one another when you can look somebody in the face and feel what's happening within them, and you can get close enough to share that energy with somebody. And that's what I've lived on the last few years. That is That's how I met my husband. That's how I ended up on a stage speaking to people and exposing my world and my history and my past to help others. And I think love is, it's, I've always said it, love is my religion. It's how I want to go about moving through this world. And right now it's the hardest thing to do. Love is feeling very lost, and we're all kind of holding on by a thread. Thankfully, I have a very strong family unit. I have an amazing husband. I have an amazing team surrounding me at our practices. I am very blessed, and we have the most incredible 16-month-old daughter ever. So yeah, love, it's tough right now. It's tough, and there's lots of people out there who are struggling with it. I think the best thing is reach out and actually love someone and hug them and share your story, and finding people who are not scared to touch you, not scared to be near you. I've been separated from my family for a year now. We've had three trips that we were meant to be back in the United States. I'm actually missing my brother's wedding this week because of what's happened. And they've only met my daughter one time when she was a newborn. So I have this amazing child and my family who desperately wants to get to know her, and they love her so much, and she hasn't had the opportunity to share love with them. And it is sad. It is a tough place to be in.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things, and for me too, has been just the lack of human connection with all of this. We have healthy people who are scared of healthy people, and there's just these barriers that have come into place, and that's tough. It's tough to not be able to connect with people on that level. I think there's a huge healing power to love and to connection, and there's so much divide right now, and I'm sure you see it in UK just like we have it here in the US, and it seems to be around the world. How do you think we go about healing that?
It's interesting. I've I guess if I had the answer, then the world would be healed because I could step up and do it. But I don't have the magical answer. One answer I do have is, I think people need to open up their hearts and open up their minds to one another, because right now we still have freedom of speech. We have freedom of choice. We have the right to share our hearts and share our smiles and take off a mask and let somebody know that you're still there. I do feel like they're a muzzle. We don't wear them in our family. My daughter A is scared of them. I have a daughter who's just now going through the neurodevelopment phase of understanding emotion. She's learning to speak. So for me, I think the conversation needs to be, is it hindering or helping? Because right now I think this hindrance of the mask is going to remove love altogether. It is not allowing anybody to heal. It's not allowing the world to communicate. Is there some power to be behind all of this madness? Perhaps. I'm not here to get into conspiracy theories, but the reality is we're covering up our faces and we're removing that initial thing that we need for connection. And the world can't connect if we're all masked. And we're exempt. My husband is he chooses to be exempt, and he also was born 2 months premature. So as he looks as healthy as can be, he actually has lung developmental issues. So he doesn't wear it. I've shared my story, being a survivor of sexual abuse. When you put a mask on someone like that, this is what I mean. I'm about the demons coming up in my world for me, and I'm sure millions and millions of others out there are experiencing this. You start masking someone, and those deep, dark, scary things start to come to the surface, and it creates more fear than just a fear of a virus. And I don't think, as long as the masks are playing a role in what's happening right now, that we're capable of healing. So, and off topic, you know, until the conversation is surrounded by how do we heal our body through healthy choices, you know, vitamin D, vitamin C, good supplementation, chiropractic, a healthy nervous system, eating the right foods, loving one another, until those conversations are being had in front of everybody, until the media steps up and actually speaks about something that's important. We're in a tough place to heal and bring the world together. Now, things like these protests that are happening tomorrow, I do think that they're taking the step in the right direction. But, you know, beyond that, how are we going to get the entire world to come together and overcome? I do question. I don't know.
Yeah, I have some of the same concerns as you, where the approach by government seems to be very, one, very drug and vaccine centered, and really not lifestyle and health centered. But
Right.
also, a lot of the decisions seem to be made on one factor and one factor only, and that is what's going to happen in cases of COVID. And say, what's going to happen in cases of COVID if we have masks? What's going to happen with cases of COVID if we don't have masks? What's going to happen if we lock down? What's going to happen if we don't lock down? And that's the only variable that's looked at. You know, they're not looking at, okay, what are the unintended consequences of some of these
mental health?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, drug and alcohol abuse, abuse within the families. You know, let's just think about it. You take a family in their everyday life, you know, going to work, nursery, school, etc., and you all of a sudden take away the friends, you take away the extended family, the things you do outside of your home, and there you are. Are you back?
Yeah, I got you.
You back? Yeah. Anyways, you take that family unit and then you shove them in a house together and tell them they can't be around anybody else. What do you think is going to happen to people's mental health and the abuse that can happen? I mean, we're not. I've heard this common thing from a lot of people. Oh, enjoy the time you have together. I mean, you should be cherishing these moments when you're in lockdown with your family. But the reality is the people saying that are the ones living in these big, beautiful mansions or these big, beautiful homes. And they're not the ones going into the tiny apartments and have no space to move around, or the ones who their family's in another country and they can't see their family, or the ones who they've never spent that much time together because they've been working and they've had, you know, school and daycare, and all of a sudden you just taken people and expected them to be excited about being trapped. Who's ever been excited about being trapped?
Yeah, and you know, there's always some kind of silver lining. There's always some blessing hidden in there, and yeah, you know, there may be a blessing to having that time with family, and we have to point out the harms of it at the same time. You know,
yes, and I think that's what's being ignored.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that I know you and I are both opposed to being in this profession is sort of these one size fits all health protocols, right? Like everyone must get this vaccine, everyone must wear this mask. I mean, shoot, if you give everybody in the country the same food, some people are going to be harmed by it. You know, if you're injecting the same chemicals, the same toxins into every single person, or if you put something that's obstructing their airway all the time, that's going to cause some harm for people. And my concern around a lot of this is there's very little concern for the individual and the needs of the individual, and how some people are going to be harmed by some of these policies. And you know, what I worry about is we get into this mindset as a culture of, well, it's okay if we sacrifice the weak few for the good of the many. And I feel like that's a really dangerous road to go down.
Dangerous in the fact that the conversation hasn't been revolving around what is the survival rate? What are the healthy, like, how are people fighting this off? So you have 80% of people who don't even have symptoms. You have a 99.76, people will argue what the number is, but whatever. It's around 99.7 survival rate where there is a very, very small part of the population that, yes, maybe they need to be, quarantined. Maybe they need to wear masks. I don't really know, but we are destroying our world, mental health, our economy, our children. Most, I can't get on board with it. I just can't. This is something that just is mind blowing to me. I met a mom from London the other day. I met her in the coffee shop. We were having a chat, with one another, but here we are. We're having a conversation. She has a 5-month-old baby, and she said, "Yeah, thankfully I had my baby 2 weeks before lockdown." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because all my friends that had it after lockdown, the dads aren't allowed in the room or in the hospital. So they've all had to have a baby by themselves with no family in the room. And then now they're forcing them to wear masks while laboring. The dads are meeting their babies in the parking lot 1 to 2 days later." Let's have a conversation what that'll do to a new mom's mental health. Someone going, I had a 34-hour labor. She we were at home trying to home birth, and I think it was 12 hours or so we realized that the situation, and so we ended up going to the hospital. I can't imagine my husband not being there to support me during all of that. I feel so much for these women going through this right now.
Yeah, the policies definitely seem excessive, and if we're gonna set policy, first thing we have to be able to do is have an honest conversation about what the facts really are, and what the numbers really are, right. and then right. what are the real risks? We're learning more and more that this is not nearly anywhere close as risky as we thought it was. And once we know right. the risks, let people choose. I mean, ultimately, people are the ones who get to decide what risks they take and don't take. And there's some people who, they're probably going to want to isolate. They may want to wear something to cover their face. But at the same time, they better start asking some good questions. They better start asking, right. okay, what am I doing in my life and in my lifestyle that has made my system so compromised and weak that I have to stay distanced from everybody, stay covered, and avoid human contact completely. And I hope people are starting to take a good look at some of the decisions they're making that are affecting their health in a negative way, and really putting them in a position where that's really their only choice.
Right.
They need to be. My hope through this is that people begin to recognize the importance of choosing into health on a daily basis and making it a daily practice, so that when this happens again, which it will, they don't have to live in fear.
Understanding what it is that's going to nourish their but at the same time, I will say in our practice, we've seen more people showing up, more people to come in and get the care. It's one of those times in life where people there are some out there recognizing that they need to be healthier. Our practice has grown exponentially because they get to come into a space where they are loved. And chiropractic most of the time, and especially in our practice, is a hands-on practice. They're getting that care. They're being touched in a healthy, safe way, and they're feeling better for it. And they're improving their mood, improving their nervous system, improving their spine, and improving their health overall. And people walk in and they're like, "Do I have to wear a mask?" No, we don't require it. We follow the government guidelines, and we have all of the things to stay safe within our space. We have a very large, beautiful practice. So we just ask people to, recognize and follow social distancing and do what's best for them and respect others in the practice. But at the same time, people walk in and they're like, "I don't want to wear this." And it's beautiful because when we're at work, we kind of forget what is happening outside. it's a really lovely space to be in, and realize that people may be conforming to what is mandatory or recommended right now, but at the same token, they are getting into a place where they feel safe, and they're releasing all of that.
Yeah, I love that. And our office is a lot, it's a bubble, a lot like yours, where choice is always respected.
Yes,
and
absolutely, because you have your choice.
Yeah, we'll never force something like that on anybody. And everyone who comes into our office, staff, doctor, or patient, they get that choice when they come in.
Yes.
One thing that we will always stand for, especially in this profession, is health freedom. You choose how you're going to take care of yourself. You make the best decisions for yourself and for your family based on hopefully quality information, but ultimately the person responsible for your health is you.
Yes.
Yeah. And remember, what advice do you have for moms that are navigating all this right now? Because this is something that none of us have really ever experienced.
Well, I moved to the UK without any friends and no family I was 6 months pregnant. So I understand what it's like to be by yourself going through this. Now, I can't imagine going through having a baby in this space and not having my partner there to support me. And the one thing I can say is I missed out on is I didn't have the opportunity to get to know other moms. And right now they've kind of stripped that away from moms, new moms, and soon to be moms, because they've closed down all the groups. They've closed down all the play areas. They've taken that away. And now playgrounds are somewhat open, but soft play and groups, none of it's happening. So just for me, I met a mom in a coffee shop. I reached out and spoke to her because for me, I want her to know that I'm there as a mom. And I didn't even have Luna with me that day, but I reached out and spoke to her, and she was like, "Oh, this is amazing. I'm just moving to the area." And she got my contact information. And, we have to be willing to step outside of the fear and show compassion and love and lay a hand out, just say, "Hey, I'm here. I need support. I want to support you," and kind of break free of the chains that we all feel right now. And one other example, I was in the park with a new mom, and I mean a new mom. She had the baby at the beginning of lockdown, and we both, here we are with these babies, not knowing what we're doing. And I'm new to the country, and I literally just told her, like, "Hey, if you ever want to meet up at the park just to have a chat, I know that none of the groups are running right now. We just have to be willing to reach out and support each other and love each other." And really, there's not much else you can do in this moment in time.
Yeah, well, I think people shouldn't underestimate the power of connection, the power of a kind word or an act of love. Gosh, the other day I was in a grocery store, and it was just something as simple as someone telling me they like my shirt. It was like, oh my gosh, there was just a kind word like that just has the power to just create a shift in someone's life like that. And I hope people remember that. I hope that people, when they're in these places and they feel like this lack of connection, that a small act like that, a small act of love, kindness, connection, really goes a long way to improve someone's life in a really, really big way.
Yes. You just don't know how people are feeling right now. And the worst thing, I did make and I'll be the first one to admit, I've said this before, it's hard not to judge during these times. I don't wear a mask, but it's not right for me to judge those who choose to. And we actually had someone in the practice wearing her mask, and you can't see the facial expressions. They're muffled. You can barely hear what they're saying, and you have to question, like, what'd you say? And I have a hard time with the accent as is. So here I am trying to navigate an accent plus a muffled person, and all you can see is the eyes, and the eyes were real big, and they didn't look like they were smiling. And I thought to myself, wow, she just looks really unfriendly. And she was a new patient in our practice. And I literally thought, I don't know if I can interact with somebody that makes me feel that way. And I stepped back and realized, wow, that was really unfair of me to think that way and to feel that way. But that is what's happening, and that's the divide that's going on. And thankfully I recognized it and stepped outside of myself and realized you don't have the right to judge people by their eyes, because she may be just scared under there and she may be smiling. I don't really know. And she came on as a patient in our practice, and I love her for that, and I honor her for stepping up in these moments of fear and still being willing to come into our practice and get the care that she needs. So it's an interesting path to get to where you realize that you can make judgments or live in that same, what's the way to explain it, in a space where you're not being loving. And it's easy to do with what's happening in the media today, because they're just shoving fear and hatred down our throats right now.
Yeah, I think one of the best things that we can do right now is really have grace for each other, and not assume motive. You never know why someone's making the decision they make. I mean, you see the decision on the surface, but you don't know everything that led up to that decision. You don't know the respiratory condition someone may have where they don't want to wear a mask. You really don't know anything about the person other than the act. And so not assuming motive, I think, is really, really important right now. But Dr. Rebecca, anytime I have these conversations with people, I love to give you the last word. What do you think the world needs to hear from Dr. Rebecca Lindesmith?
Oh, what does the world need to hear? That there's a better way, that people do still love one another, and we need to have faith and trust in the human body. We were designed and built to be these beautiful, brilliant human beings, and we've lost that faith and trust. And I just hope that people start realizing that we weren't put on this earth to die a horrible, miserable death. We were meant to come here and thrive and just kind of and love and share and be a community. We weren't meant to be separated and segregated and living in dark and fearful place. And for me, it's brought on a lot of really interesting places I want to go in my life. You know, we want to start gardening and creating a space for our daughter to learn about the earth and about nutrition and how to feed yourself and the healing nature of not just what we do as chiropractors, but that above, down, inside out, and, you know, the healing power of herbs and all those different beautiful things. We started a CBD company, and it's very interesting. It's been a year's journey of learning and, you know, diving really deep into that world, because I did go through postpartum, and if it wasn't for chiropractic and CBD, I don't know where I would be today. I struggled on levels I can't explain. When you've gone through the abuse that I've gone through, and I'm sure many women can feel this, when you have a baby, it opens up this interesting world that you then have to learn and then explore and figure it all out all over again. And I'm doing that today, and I've had to kind of take steps back to take steps forward. And we named our company, our CBD company, is ADIO. It's adio.co.uk. So it is above, down, inside out. And that's because it related to what we do every day and what we've done in our own lives for healing. And where I'm at today with my healing is it's a journey, and it's a never-ending process. So I say, find the right people, find people who are loving, have faith in your body, please trust in the spirit and what has been given to us, and use nature at the same time to help heal. And you know, of course, chiropractic, can't forget the thing that has brought me to where I am today. It is my love. I miss it deeply. I don't, I'm not practicing in the UK quite yet. So 2 years without practicing, the yearning is there, and I look forward to the day that I can step into an office and just welcome patient after patient after patient in and lay my hands on them.
Well, I'm sure that'll be happening before you know it, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. I'm hoping our paths cross again, either at the Truth or Cal Jam or something like that. We'll have to connect, trade adjustments.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Focus OKC.
Focus. That's one that's on my list still. That's one that's still on my list.
Oh, you did not go when I spoke 2 years ago, did you?
I wasn't there. No, I've seen you at the
No.
Truth. Actually, it was funny. The first time you spoke at the Truth, I was really excited to see you speak, and then I got really sick the day that you spoke.
And you missed it.
And I missed you. And I made sure not to do that again. I saw you the second time, and you absolutely crushed it. So really looking forward to our paths crossing again, and excited to see where you go here in UK, and excited for you to finally be putting your hands back on people, because they deserve that from you. You're great at what you do.
Thank you. Well, I look forward to seeing you again. We will be back to the U.S. as soon as we possibly can.
All right. Well, we'll see you when you're here.
All right. Thanks,
All right,
Casey.
guys. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.